"Don't move or she dies!" Single Dad's calm response left CEO speechless. The grocery store was nearly empty at 8 or more p.m. on a Tuesday, a cavernous space of fluorescent light and quiet refrigeration hums. Ryan Martinez pushed his cart slowly through the cereal aisle, the squeak of one wheel providing a steady, rhythmic counterpoint to his thoughts. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? His 7-year-old daughter Sophia walked beside him, her small fingers trailing along the boxes, deeply engrossed in the critical debate over the merits of various sugary breakfast options. "Dad, can we get the one with marshmallows?" Sophia held up a colorful box, her eyes wide with practiced, hopeful persuasion. "We talked about this, Mija," Ryan replied, using his special nickname for her. "You can pick one treat cereal and one healthy one. But marshmallows are made from plants, so technically," she argued, her logic already sharper than he was prepared for at this hour. Ryan smiled, a tired but genuine expression. His daughter was too smart for her own good sometimes, a trait she'd undoubtedly inherited from her mother. At 32, he'd been raising Sophia alone for 3 years, a relentless, heart-wrenching journey that began the night his wife, Elena, died in a car accident. Every day since had been a series of negotiations, small learning experiences, and quiet reminders that he was simply doing his best in impossible circumstances. He reached for a box of cornflakes, the boring, responsible choice that would somehow balance out whatever sugar bomb Sophia eventually talked him into. It was in that mundane, reaching moment that the universe tilted. He heard the voice, sharp and strained, cutting through the supermarket music. "Nobody move. This is a robbery." Ryan's military training, hardwired into his nervous system during 2 tours in Afghanistan, kicked in before his conscious mind could even fully process the words. His body went still, but his mind became a hyper-alert radar, assessing the situation in a blink. One gunman approximately 20 feet away, near the front registers, waving a pistol erratically. The posture screamed amateur, hunched shoulders, jerky movements, eyes darting. He was nervous, probably desperate, not a professional. Ryan's peripheral vision catalogued the others. An elderly man frozen near the dairy section, a carton of eggs in his hand, and a woman in an elegant black dress and heels near the end of their aisle, who had been speaking urgently on her phone. At the gunman's shout, her expression shifted from focused annoyance to stark, pale fear. "I said nobody move." The gunman's voice cracked on the last word. He was young, maybe 20, his face gaunt, his hands shaking visibly even from a distance. "Wallets!" "Phones, now!" "Put them on the ground." The elderly man complied immediately, fumbling his wallet out of his back pocket with trembling hands. The woman in black hesitated, her knuckles white where she gripped her phone, as if calculating the odds. Every fatherly instinct in Ryan screamed to grab Sophia, to yank her behind him and shield her with his body. But years of combat experience had scorched a different lesson into his psyche. Predictable responses got people killed. In chaos, the unpredictable held power. So he did the opposite. He moved. Slowly, deliberately, he picked up the box of cornflakes he had been reaching for, as if he hadn't heard a thing. "Sophia," he said quietly, his voice a low, steady anchor in the suddenly charged air. "Go ahead and grab those marshmallow ones you wanted." His daughter looked up at him, confusion written on her small face. But a lifetime of trust overrode the fear. "Okay, Dad," she whispered, turning back to the shelf. The movement caught the gunman's attention. "I said, don't move!" The young man yelled, swinging the pistol toward them. Ryan didn't even glance at him. He simply turned the cornflake box and began reading the nutrition label with intense concentration, as if it were the most fascinating document in the world. "Did you know these have added vitamins?" "That's interesting," he remarked to Sophia, his tone conversational. "Are you deaf?" The gunman took 5 frantic steps closer, now at the mouth of their aisle. The gun, an old model revolver, was pointed directly at Ryan's chest. "Put down the cereal and give me your wallet." Ryan finally looked at him. his expression calm, almost bored, as if being confronted by an armed man was a minor inconvenience. "No," he said. The simple, flat word hung in the air, absurd and heavy. The gunman blinked, his bravado faltering under the weight of such a quiet defiance. He seemed genuinely shocked, as if this script wasn't in his head. "What did you say?" "I said no," Ryan repeated, enunciating clearly. He then set the cornflakes in his cart with deliberate care. "Sophia, sweetheart," he continued, pushing the cart forward a few inches, a subtle movement that positioned his body more squarely between the barrel of the gun and his daughter. "Do you want the chocolate milk or regular for the week? You think I won't shoot you?" The gunman's voice climbed higher, laced with panic and disbelief. "I think you're terrified," Ryan stated calmly. His eyes locked on the young man's, not on the weapon. "I think you probably have a very good reason for being here, making terrible decisions. I think that gun is your grandfather's, based on the model. And I think you've never fired it." The accuracy of the statements, delivered with such certainty, visibly rocked the gunman. His arm wavered. "You don't know anything." He spat, but the aggression was bleeding into distress. "I know a scared kid when I see one," Ryan said, his voice dropping, becoming almost confidential. "I know what it's like to feel like there are no options left. But this?" He gestured slightly with his chin toward the gun. "This isn't the way. You're better than this." He took another small step forward, not aggressive, but closing the space, making the interaction personal, human. "Put it down. Let's talk. No one else needs to get hurt, least of all you." The woman in the black dress was watching, utterly transfixed, her phone forgotten in her hand. The gunman's eyes darted between Ryan's steady gaze. The confused little girl, now clutching a box of marshmallow cereal, and the other frozen customers. The monumental weight of his act was crashing down on him. The pistol, which had seemed like a tool of power moments ago, now seemed like a lead weight. His shoulders sagged. The threatening facade crumbled, revealing a desperate, exhausted boy. A shuddering breath escaped him. I just needed money," he choked out, the gun dipping toward the floor. "I know," Ryan said, his tone offering a fragment of grace. "But not like this." Slowly, Ryan extended his hand. Palm open, not for the gun, but as an offer of connection. "It's over. Just put it on the floor." For a second that stretched into eternity, the standoff held. Then, with a sob that was equal parts relief and shame, the young man let the revolver clatter to the linoleum. He put his hands over his face. Ryan immediately moved, but not toward the gun. He stepped to the young man, putting a firm, steadying hand on his shoulder, guiding him to sit on the floor away from the weapon, his posture more of a mentor than a captor. "It's okay, breathe, it's over." It was only then that store security and the police, alerted by a silent alarm, rushed in. The scene they found was not one of chaos, but of surreal calm. A single dad comforting his daughter by a cart of cereal, an elegantly dressed woman standing in silent shock, and a would-be robber sitting crumpled on the floor, being told to breathe by the man he'd just threatened to kill. As the police took statements, the woman in black approached Ryan. Up close, she was even more strikingly poised, though her composure was clearly rattled. "That was the most incredible thing I've ever witnessed," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm Alana Thorne. I'm the CEO of Thorne Innovations. I was on a crisis. When this happened," she shook her head, as if to clear it. "You're calm. The way you spoke to him. You didn't just de-escalate. You saw him. In my entire career, I've never seen leadership like that under pressure. It was fearless." Ryan, now holding a sleepy Sophia in his arms, simply nodded. "It wasn't about fearlessness. It was about my daughter. He wasn't a threat to be taken down. He was a kid who needed a way out without losing his last shred of dignity. I just gave him an exit." Alana Thorne looked from Ryan's tired, sincere face to Sophia, who was now drifting off against his shoulder, the box of marshmallow cereal secured in her grip. "That perspective," Alana said quietly, more to herself than to him, "is worth more than any MBA. She reached into her purse, extracted a business card, and handed it to him. "My security team could use a consultant with your..." unique skills in human assessment and crisis management. And frankly, so could my executive leadership program. The pay is substantial. Think about it, please. Ryan took the card, a small rectangle of thick embossed paper, a world away from his current life of grocery runs and bedtime stories. He nodded again, a non-committal but polite gesture. His priority was getting Sophia home. The police finished their report, noting Ryan's military background and his critical role in resolving the situation without violence. The young gunman was led away, but not before casting a last, confused look of gratitude toward Ryan, as Ryan drove home through the quiet night. Sophia asleep in the back seat. The ordinary weight of his life felt different. The grief, the struggle, the daily grind, it was all still there. But so was the unshakable certainty that had guided him in that aisle. The power of calm, the strength in compassion, and the profound truth that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not to fight, but to understand. He glanced at the business card on the passenger seat, its edges catching the streetlight. For the first time in a long time, the future felt less like a burden and more like a possibility, all because he chose, in a moment of terror, to simply reach for a box of cornflakes and see the human being behind the gun. If you enjoyed this story of calm under pressure and the power of compassionate response, please show your support for our channel by liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to Kindness True Stories for more powerful real-life narratives. We would love to hear from you. Please tell us in the comments where you are watching our stories from.